Okay, good evening, everybody. So this is the session for day 11. So let me open the files and sort of get ready for the today's class. Okay. So we devoted 10 sessions for strategy formulation. 10 sessions for strategy implementation. The class on 1st July 2004 could not be held due to no connectivity on my end, and these classes will be held on Saturday, Sunday, on any Saturday, Sunday that is mutually convenient. So now we begin the advances in of strategy. E means solution in the electronic area, which includes communication. Just a minute, I'll just come in a minute. In the electronic area, which is communication, software, and hardware. So we talk about these things. So I begin with the first part, which is MIS. MIS is Management Information System. These could be manual as well as electronic or software and hardware based. Next one is ERP. ERP is software and hardware based management information system. And ERP stands for Enterprise Sources Plan. ERP stands for Enterprise Resources Planning, and this term came from MRP. MRP stands for Manufacturing Resources Planning. Was popular in the 1980s, where all manufacturing resources were planned by software and hardware. Now in ERP manages all the resources of corporation of the company. ERP manages resources of all the resources of the company, be it financial, R&D, HR, and marketing. But generally, as the convention goes, the marketing information system systems that are e-based is also known as CRM. It is referred to as customer relationship management, where all the information of customer kept software, hardware of package called CRM, so that we can serve our customers in a better manner. So we'll be studying about CRM also. Next key part of it is point-to-point architecture. Point-to-point architecture, where say a few suppliers, maybe 10 of them have set up communication links for data transfer. So I may say if there are if there are five suppliers, let me put a sort of table that here rows are the columns are 6, and these are also 6. Put it here. I have here supplier S1. I have here supplier S2. I have here supplier S3. I have here supplier S4. And I have here supplier S5. Similarly here, I have this S1, S2, S3, S4, and S5. So we can say that these two people have set up a link because they want to communicate with each other. Similarly, S2 and S3 have set up a link. And maybe S5 and S2 have set up a link. And maybe we can say that S5 and S4 also have set up links. And so I'll write down here, X means communication setup. Communication link is set up. So there are only very few links. For example, there is no link between S3 and S4, and so on. So this is referred to as point-to-point architecture. And we will see in which situations this point-to-point architecture is preferred. The other architecture is, data communication architecture is hub and spoke architecture. Hub means there are these S1, S2, and this is S3, then this is S4, and we have here S5. Now, these people are linked to a company. And company, or I call it as core company. And this core company has links with S1, S2, S3, and S4. Get my point? I'm not able to draw the diagram here, but core company C1, so I'll write down here, C1 has links with S1, S2, S3, S4, and S5. This is referred to as hub and spoke architecture. So the beauty is S1 and S2 can communicate each other to C1. S1 will send request to C1. C1 will send the information to S2. And that's how they will communicate to each other. And if S2 wants to communicate with S1, then S2 sends a message to C1 and C1 sends a message S1. And this is how they will communicate. So S1 and S2 can communicate via C1. So in fact, all S1, S2, S3, and S4 are connected via the C1 company. So this is referred to as a hub and spoke architecture of communication, or that is another kind of hardware where data transfer can take place and information transfer becomes that much easier, but certainly it is expensive. And we'll see, we'll relate all these things to strategy of the organization. Next is proprietary standard. Proprietary standards. For example, Apple and Microsoft have proprietary standards. The new supplier who wants to join their network needs to pay heavily for the software and hardware they provide. And on the other hand, we have this thing known as shared standards. So companies like Samsung have developed a platform where many people can make apps and share with everyone else. We will see when to use proprietary standards and when to use shared standards. So we will study in this course, we'll study in these next 10 sessions on E of business strategy, E of business strategy, how to how these are related to save this. So it's study in this 10 case. And next thing is OOP and SOA. OP stands for object-oriented programming. And SOA stands for service-oriented architecture. So I will just briefly explain this. You know, I mean, you need not be a computer expert to figure out what is required for which strategy. Details are left to computer specialists. So I'll write down here. Details are left to computer specialists. And you can write them as a management person. In OP, you have classes whose properties can be added. I must say, whose generic properties. Generic properties can be modified, added or modified very easily. And hence, same software can be reused even if requirements change, like so. You do not have to write new software all over again. So that is the beauty of object-oriented programming. And then we have service-oriented architecture. Here, one can use optimization software from someone else's computer and get the results. Or one can find out PAN number of a person from Aadhaar card database that is created and stored somewhere else. So, you know, so the beauty here is as the requirements change, one can reconfigure your system. So this approach has the advantage of reconfigurability. So this is also an approach to write in software. OOP is one way of writing the software, and SOA is another way of utilizing the software or writing the software. So both these approaches, OOP and SOA, are differing right, and we will rate these two strategies of organization in the next classes. Then we have one more technology which is known as multi-agent system. So for example, here is we have an organization or company has R&D, marketing, finance, and HR functions. And the technology has developed so much. Technology has developed so much that you can create an agent that may be called the production agent. Here, all the knowledge available is stored into a software come hardware, and it can make independent action. Similarly, we have, let me, okay, so similarly, one can have a marketing agent, finance agent, R&D agent, HR agent. The agent here means software from hardware where all the domain knowledge is stored. So it is a way of listening human being or the human decision maker. Human decision maker. So that is how the technology is heading towards. And if you have to integrate the decisions of production, marketing, and finance. We have, I mean, one more advances, several advances have been made, and we have what is known as an integration agent. That integrates of production, marketing, finance, and we will see how to adapt this multi-agent how to relate this multi-agent technology to the strategy of the company. We will show how to relate this multi-agent technology to strategy of the company. My students have done the research on this, and I'll be passing on the latest in this field to you in the next few lectures. So that is all about multi-agent systems. And then we have BPR, which is known as business process re-engineering. I will give a small example. In JEE mains exams, my son secured admission in, say, an engineering college in Kerala. But I am located in Kanpur, so I pay fees of 40,000 in MNNIT Allahabad. Then my son goes to finally its Pilani. And its Pilani and demands that his money be returned. They say it will return fees 38,000 only, and 2,000 will be deducted as processing fee. They say they say that the money be transferred to Kerala College and you collect it from there. That's a big headache for parents as well as the child to collect this 38,000. So here somebody has done BPR. Somebody has done BPR, and what he says is, and what he does is, you pay two drafts, one for fees 38,000 and one for fees 2,000. And if you sell for the pre-specified date, then you can collect your fees 38,000 draft from NIT Hyderabad. So the things become simpler. And efficient. So this is a classic example, although of the olden days. Now the things are much more advanced because you can pay online and money can be transferred online. Okay. But in those days, around 2014 or so, or 2010, this was the situation. So somebody brought on this particular change and it saved a lot of headache. So in organizations also, you make such simple, you know, business process re-engineering as they call it, and streamline the processes, avoid unnecessary headaches, and so on. So in organizations, you can streamline processes and make it more efficient and the benefits because a lot of organizational energy saved can be somewhere else. This is referred to as business process re-engineering. I'm sorry I gave a old example, but I am able to drive home the point, I suppose. And thus, we will relate this BPR to strategy. BPR to strategy. Next is big data. Nowadays, so much data is collected that data management becomes a big issue. You can have decentralized databases or have centralized databases. And the size of the database is very large. And so if you have to fish out something useful, if you have to fish out something useful, then you got to do data mining. We will relate all these to strategy. We'll relate all these to strategy. Just to give a flavor of the issues involved, there are 10 V's of databases. Or 10 V's of what I call big data. I'll just enumerate them. These are volume, velocity, variety, variability, then comes veracity, then comes validity, vulnerability, volatility, then comes visualization, and finally the value. Finally the value. So a lot of things can be said. All these things we will discuss in big details and relate these to strategy and relate these 10 V's of big data to the strategy of the firm. So that it has implications for you. If you are working in a cost leader, then you precisely know what is to be done. If you are working in a differentiator strategy, we know precisely what is to be done. In this E of business strategy, that is the software, hardware uh, composite. So that is the advantage of this research that my students have done, and we relate all these E's to strategy of the firm. Now, next comes the blockchain technology. Here, what they do is, for example, there is the entity A. It points to entity B. So this points to can be demonstrated by a pointer called like this. It points to entity B. And then this entity B may point this entity B may point to entity Z. Z. Or one can have pointers that are ordered in a time frame. So entity A could be day one transactions. Then it points to day two transaction. And then it points to day three transaction. Day three transactions, and so on. And what they do is, once the data is stored, it cannot be modified. The data is stored, it cannot be modified. So it gives you a lot of security. And these pointers can be encrypted. One can use encryption so that only authorized people can see the data. This new technology has emerged, and here I'll just note at the moment that developing standards on which this I will call it BCT for short, so that I don't have to write blockchain technology every time. BCT, blockchain technology. Developing standards on which this BCT is based is a big issue. And We'll relate this blockchain technology also to strategy. We will relate these things to strategy of organization. This blockchain technology has revolutionized the fashion industry or the interior decoration business. You can show to your customer how his house will look if he has this particular paint. Then he adds a wallpaper, see, and shows how it looks. How it looks. Then he adds many other things. Suppose customer says he doesn't want wallpaper. Customer says he does not want wallpaper. So the data is stored, and we just go back. The data is stored already at each phase. Each phase. Phases is paint, wallpaper, plus others. At every stage, data is stored. Okay, so you go back using pointers to the previous stage. And remove the and come to paint node. Then start adding as per customer requirements. This has great advantages in terms of efficiency. This has great advantages in terms of efficiency, that if he wants not the wallpaper, you can go back and the data is already stored, how it will look when it had paint, and then other things can be added. You know? So this is the advantage of blockchain technology. It is referred to as metaverse technology based on blockchain technology. So similarly, There are tremendous advantages. Lot of data can be stored and that can be used later on and analyzed to develop in managerial insights. Data, if available, in blockchain can be used for analysis and develop managerial insights. So we will relate this blockchain technology to the strategy of the company. BCT will be related to strategy of the company. Then comes the ESM. Here ESM is referred to as enterprise social media. Just like Facebook, just like social media, but limited to company and organization. So all the talk and transactions are recorded. It has several advantages. Performance evaluation. Performance evaluation is more accurate. Data stored can be used for training purposes, etc. We will relate this ESM to strategy of company. Some more advances have taken place, and these are referred to as cobots. These are collaborative robots. Every person, organization will have a supportive robot him who will assist him make good decisions. We'll relate this also to the strategy of the company. Okay. Next comes a technology called, sorry, I'll just take 2-3 more minutes. And that technology is known as digital twin technology. Here, now, there is a capability to create a digital twin of any physical system, a digital twin of any system, and can try out different decisions on computers. And then implement the best one in the physical system. Will you relate this also to the strategy of the company? Okay. So with this, I have exceeded the time by 2 minutes. So I stop here. Now in the next about 9 classes, we will devote, 9 classes will be devoted to relate these E's, which is a composite of software and hardware, to the strategy of the company. About E's, will be related to strategy of. Thank you very much. Our time is up. Okay, and goodbye.